EliteAri abandoned me. Can you believe it? So I'm just going to be here. I'm just going to be a lonely boy on this little horse. Egg can take me around places, and, I'll just be saddled by my lonesome. But the show must go on. So here we are. To review Dunk and Egg, or whatever this fucking show is called, A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, Season 1, Episode 3. Yes, sadly, there's going to be a second season, and we already know about it. I got my little recap of the scenes here to go through them. The fun of these A Song of Ice and Fire related discussion thingies is always like quiz and EliteAri on things, and now that's just gone. What a selfish young man that EliteAri is to abandon me like this to just watch this show. But my thought was maybe since it's just solo, we try and get through this quick. We do about 10 minutes on an episode, maybe. A little bit different than usual. We don't want this to be like my Succession discussion videos. Now, that's a television show we can all look forward to discussing for an hour or so. Obviously, since my last video, if somehow you are only a secondary ENT fan, I did release a scripted video complaining about the first 2 episodes. That has not gone over too well. I think it's got about 1.2k views, so that's pretty cool. But it has a 25% like ratio, and that means a 74% dislike ratio. The other one, who knows where that percentage point gone. Actually, I think, frankly, it's indicative of YouTube covering it up, The people love my opinions. There's no way it could be that low. But then you read the comments, and it says, L take, terrible video. I couldn't believe it, frankly. But anyway, there was, when I first started, because the first scene of this episode, or the first few scenes or whatever, is just it's just Egg by himself and the horse and, like, training or something, and being a little kid. And I didn't hate it, so part of me thought, did I get all my hatred out in that video? Am I no longer upset about this show? And I will say that was probably the case for most of the episode. I do think the last scene was pretty terrible. So I guess I'm still capable of being disappointed in the show for its poor adaptation of my new favorite book. You can see me talk about my new favorite book in the ranking video I just did, where I ranked it the number 1 thing I consumed in January. We just got plugs falling out of our asses here. But true, Egg is running around. He's like, Thunder, your last rider was half the size of Dunk. You gotta train and you gotta run around and stuff. And then the one-eyed guy shows up, who I think is just like a one-off character that has one joust in the book, right? Or is he someone on one of the sides eventually? I guess I should... Am I remaining spoiler-free? Probably, for anybody that's watching this that hasn't seen the show. So I did recognize the one-eyed character, and I was like, oh, yeah, there is a one-eyed character. I didn't remember him too much, though. But we're fleshing him out for a little bit, so it's funny, I guess. He thought Egg was stealing horses, but it wasn't true. And also, there's like an underlining tension, which I think even if you don't know what's happening, you're supposed to suspect that Egg is like a Targaryen. Obviously, we get the reveal at the end of the episode. But obviously, there's an added tension of like, the tension isn't Egg getting in trouble here. It's like, is Egg going to have to give up his cover and go back to being a Targaryen? So I like that a little bit. But there's no scenes like this in the book, etc., etc. Then he gets back and Dunk is like mean to him again, and we get the same scene we've seen like 3 times in this show, where it's like Dunk is almost a bad knight to his squire by threatening to beat him up, but then he doesn't beat him up, because we wouldn't like him if he beat him up, because that's not what we would do in our modern times. And so, at least he didn't say clout in the ear again for like the 17th time. Then I believe they head back to the tournament, right? And is this when Arian kills the horse? First of all, it was just like a splinter through the horse's neck. We could have done with some more violence in that scene, I think. It's also interesting just the translation of like how you relay information, and how like an actual direct adaptation is actually sometimes a bad thing, or it's like in the book, like Dunk realizes and starts talking through, and then like starts saying, no, that can't be true. Basically, he realizes that the lance is too low and that Arian's going to kill the horse. Also, they called him Arian Brightflame here, which I thought he got the nickname after he died, but they call him that here, and I'm pretty sure they don't do that in the book, but I could be wrong. And like that scene is very tense, I think, in the book, where it's like slower, because obviously it's as slow as you want it to be in the words and whatever. But it happened very quickly here. And And Egg's one of my favorite passages from the book is when Egg is like chanting for them to kill Arian. Um, but here it was just like 2 lines. It was very quick. It wasn't like as venomous as I wanted it to be. Um, Neither was his confrontation with Arian later. So I didn't really like that stuff either. Also, we've cut a lot of the Tony stuff, obviously. Which is whatever. Like, Hardying coming out and breaking his leg, and that's really all we know about him, kind of fucks with all the build-up. And I think that probably will fuck with the eventual payoff, too. So, I don't know why we're doing that. Also, they added like a riot that was happening because I guess the people could also tell that he killed the horse on purpose or something. Or I think we might be like teasing a more underlying like tension between the Targaryens and everybody else. Like maybe they secretly do hate the Targaryens, so that's why they're rioting after a Targaryen won or something. Because this also ties into Ryman's speech, which is a lot more emphasized in the show later, where he's very anti-Targaryen. I'll tell you, coming on the tits wasn't in the book neither's. But yeah, it's just like it's so interesting because that last scene was so minimalistic and like bad and like underwhelming. But they like shot a whole riot scene. Like, why not just make the end scene, like the poignant midpoint turning point of the story violent scene, like more grandiose? When actually you made it less grandiose in the book for some reason. Just very weird. But yeah, they had a riot. I don't know why. There were probably more violence and more action they wanted. But not jousting action because we cut all that. Weird decisions, you know. Maybe I still do hate this show, huh? Puppet show interlude. Oh yeah, well this is the puppet show thing. We're getting a little ahead of ourselves. Oh, I think I forgot to write down the it's like a subplot they're adding with the games dude, basically to give him more scenes, I guess, where he wants, I don't even know if I understood this. He wants Dunk to beat the champion to get the money, and somehow it's going to go back to Lord Ashford, or is the gameskeeper just in it for himself? Probably, right? So he wants a bit of the money. I have no idea. It felt weird. It's like it's supposed to be some sort of underlying tension for like whether or not Dunk is going to be honorable. But obviously Dunk never actually jousts in the tourney. He's arrested. So I don't know why. And also we already cut all the jousting stuff with the sons, with Ashford's sons. So I don't know. But it is true that like I would say like 75% of this episode is all like new scenes, kinda. Because there's like a tent scene too where we're hanging out with fucking the Baratheon dude, and the Dondarrion dude is in there too, and they're singing. That was actually the most interesting scene of the show probably so far, was Egg's interpretation of that what do you call it, song being about hope, when it's like, I don't know, it's very kiddie and idealistic. Also, there was the kind of cute, kind of silly fortune-telling scene, which is kind of weird, because obviously she tells Egg he's going to be king. Oh, and there's also like the one almost mention of Maester Aemon here, so that was also cute later. All the fan servicey bits I like. But yeah, because she says like everybody will rejoice at like Egg's death, which is not really true. But I guess maybe it's supposed to be like she's just bullshitting, but she like touches on the truth kind of, and it freaks Egg out obviously because he's royalty. I guess also if he were to become king, it would imply that literally like 12 of his cousins have to die, which is like, his Egg is like the 12th in line for succession or whatever, and maybe that freaks him out. But yeah, also saying that Dunk will be richer than a Lannister is not really true, unless you just mean like, oh, he's rich in terms he's like a Kingsguard. But I don't know. Weird, kind of interesting scene. But the interpretive song scene was good too. And then I guess we just have the last scene, which is weird because it's like, it's so much quicker in the books. Like, it is a very quick scene, or it is like one page of Dunk doing all this shit of like Egg running in. It was just so much less dramatic and like menacing than I thought, except for the fact that, like, when he breaks the girl's like finger, like, you can see the bone or something, which I thought was like stupid, and seemed really fake. The They've also added the whole thing. The puppet show is obviously much more like, it's literally just tiny little puppets you hold in your hand in the book. So her like stabbing the dragon makes it like more thingy, like more venomous or something. But yeah, everything about this scene is overwhelming. Like, Dunk is supposed to like show up and like throw like 5 guards around and then beat the shit out of Arian, and then like 17 guys jump on him, and then everybody else comes running and stuff like that. But here he didn't really do anything. He like kind of pushed one off, and then he punched and kicked Arian like once or twice really quick. Also, like, the whole town is supposed to see this and like be on Dunk's side later. So I don't know about this. And then Egg shows up. It's not too dramatic. He like drops the brother line in a very inauthentic way, which might literally be the same line from the book, but the way he tells him off in the book is so much better. And it just all came way too quick, and like there wasn't the proper emphasis on the different bits of the art, like the lines that could have made it more dramatic and a slow reveal. It just all kind of happens abruptly, and it feels like maybe they didn't think the kid had the acting chops or something. Because really, all of his like scenes where he's done pretty well so far have been the like being a crazy kid scenes, or where like his lack of range is like endearing, like even in that Hope monologue where it's like, oh, he's kind of just saying everything like as a happy little kid, and that's sort of the point. What is EliteAri in here? Well, EliteAri, if you know, I'm just on a little horse here by myself, and oh my god, the people can't hear you because I don't have my headphones in. So this is so yeah, they can't. Oh my goodness, you better get the fuck out of here. I'm not editing this video. Stupid ass EliteAri, can you believe that shit? I thought I should have brought my headphones. That would have been a fun little interlude. What a piece of shit. And even his thingy didn't pop up because I have it behind the image. What an interrupting note. Comes crawling back. Can you believe it? Where the fuck was I up to? Last scene was bad. Wasn't as dramatic. Kid probably maybe couldn't act, and that's why they did it. Or they're just incompetent. And they've been incompetent through the whole time. Also, the horse was like responding to Egg at the beginning, and he had a poopy joke. And then, obviously, we had the coming on the tits joke. And then the guy was spitting again. There was a match cut spit even. So all the gross stuff is still very much a part of this show, and it's terrible. Oh my god, we did 13 minutes. I was trying to do 10 minutes. But I think that's vaguely everything. It was an interesting emotional piece at the beginning where I was like, maybe I have the ability to maybe enjoy this show now. But now that I've thought about it and complained about it for 15 minutes, it's probably not the case, huh? Very sad. But yeah, we'll stick with it. We got 3 episodes left. It is interesting that they are all very 30-minute episodes now. It's very short. But what can I say? Show bad. My video's good. I was correct. We hate the frickin' commenters. And if you agree with my great agenda here, you gotta go over and like that video. It really doesn't matter anymore, huh? Because nobody can see the dislikes. Except for me. And I need the ego boost when I check the content section. Not really. I kind of like that I have a video that's very disliked again. It's been a while. Anyway. What the frickin' hell was I saying? I think we were ending the video. So we'll be back next week. Another short little review, I'm sure. What will next week... Well, I guess I'm trying not to spoil things. I'm not going to speculate on what next week's episode will have. But there we go. We'll be back next week. Support links in the description below. Thanks.